ticket.
Well, let me ask you about your own situation in your own congressional districts. You're being challenged. We mentioned this in the last segment. You're being challenged in your primary this August, Democratic primary. You have a challenger who's a supporter of Bernie Sanders, who's brought in close to $1 million now. Very unusual for a challenger, especially going up against somebody in leadership, to bring in that kind of money. Some of this money, it seems like maybe a lot of it, is coming from Bernie Sanders supporters in small dollars who do not necessarily think you've been a fair arbiter in this primary process. How do you read that kind of opposition you're facing here?
I'm focused on two things. One, continuing to serve my constituents and having the privilege that they've given me the privilege of representing them in our nation's capital to the best of my ability, and making sure that when I run for re-election, as I am right now, I talk about what I've been able to do for them and earning their support once again. And two, making sure that we do everything we can to elect a Democratic president. Those are my professional responsibilities, and that's what I'm focused on.
Your challenger, Tim Canova is his name. He says he sent you 3 letters asking you to debate. He hasn't heard back. He's had supporters, I guess, who've shown up at your events trying to get you to commit to that. Let me ask you here, will you debate your primary opponent before the August primary?
Steve, I'm focused on the two things that I just said. Making sure that I can represent my constituents to the best of my ability. I'm going to run for re-election and communicate with my constituents about the work that I've been able to do on their behalf, like I always do, and making sure that I can do the best job as the chair of the Democratic National Committee to help us elect a Democratic president.
Let me just ask you again. Let me just ask you again.
I'm here to speak to you as the DNC chair, so I'm happy to talk to you about the presidential campaign, which is why I'm here, and I've answered your questions.
Hold on now. You haven't answered this one question. You're a candidate for re-election. I think it's a legitimate question. Will you debate your opponent in your race for re-election?
Steve, again, I'm going to continue to focus on representing my constituents to the best of my ability, doing the good job that I've been able to do representing them for the last 24 years, and making sure that when I run for re-election, they know the work that I've been able to do in earning their support once again, and making sure that as DNC chair, I help do everything we can to elect a Democratic president. Those are my two responsibilities.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Congressman and chair of the Democratic National Committee. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.